La 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 la. Well, hello there. It's almost Christmas. Well, it's not really almost Christmas, but I thought I'd do the Nativity scene by Reaper Miniatures because we haven't got much longer, and I want to get this done before the 1st of December, so I can open my little daily doors and eat my chocolates every day and look at the little baby Jesus all cuddled up on the hay. Did that rhyme? Did that rhyme? Oh, it did so well. Okay, so the Nativity Christmas scene by Reaper Miniatures. Now, I've not seen one of these from another company, and it's an absolutely beautiful kit, all in metal. I've got the old version box because I've had this a few years, and I've only just really got around to painting it now. So I'm going to do this little show. What we're going to do here, we got the wise man, we got the donkey, we got the little manger there with all the little babies and the Jesus. We got the. Have I been drinking today? Have I? We got the wise man. We got the other wise man, and we got the shepherd and another little sheepy. Okay, so what we're going to do, I'm going to make a little diorama, and we're going to have an activity scene. So what I've got is I've got some air drying clay. I got some sand. And what we're going to do is make the base up today with the air drying clay and do placement of these miniatures, so we'll see and have a look at them. So let me get set up and I'll be right back. Okay, for the base I've got some MDF board. This is 10 centimeters by 20 centimeters, and I think it'll fit this little nativity scene on perfectly. As you can see, these are all the miniatures, so let's take a little closer look at what we get in the box. Now again, we get the little sheep. Let me get some focus on. I'll show you each one of these miniatures before we make a start. Oh, we've got the sheep there and the donkey, all absolutely fantastic metal sculpts. And we have the shepherd. Oh yeah, Joseph and Mary. Better tell you who they are. I'm sure most of you probably know. And if I have got that wrong, then I do apologise. And of course you've got baby Jesus. Hello, baby Jesus. How are you doing? How are you doing, mate? And we got the three wise men. Absolutely gorgeous as well. Now you could paint these, so they could be used in other games. So I'm going to probably paint these in a style that kind of is befitting for what we are doing, but also so we can actually use them in our D&D games or Pathfinder. Now this guy, look at this guy. Now Rodney, if you are watching, Rodney, my friend, this wise man looks a spitting image of Rodney, and anybody in the Goblin army who sees this miniature, they're going to say, oh my god, it's Rodney. So we got Rodney as well. It's an absolutely beautiful set and absolutely highly recommended. Okay, so what I want to do is, I can see the placement I want. The three kings there, middle, and the farm animals here. So what we're going to do is we're just going to build up the base a little bit more. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use some air drying clay to build up the middle just a little bit more, just so it's a little bit raised. The three kings will be a little bit below, and also the sheep and the donkey will be below as well. So a very simple little take. So we'll move straight into adding the clay now. This is air drying clay. This is a grey form of air drying clay. You can get the air drying clay from all sorts of hobby shops. Now all I'm wanting to do is raise the middle section of this nativity scene. It's just to give a little bit more, because otherwise it's going to look boring. If it's just the actual miniatures on a base, That's not going to be much fun. So I want to move that back there. So we've got like a raised platform, a centre stage for our nativity scene. And what we're going to do is just add a few little rocks going down. And what happens again once this dries, as you know if you've watched any of my other videos with my clay making, the clay will dry, it'll come away from the actual base, and then all we do is we just stick it back on. Very, very simple. And we're just going to add a few little rocks here and there, just so there's a little bit of variation to the base, because what we'll be doing is we'll also be adding sand to the base as well as. So just little rocks here and there. Very, very simple. We'll just do this. Jesus in the middle there. Let's hope he doesn't fall off. And then we'll have one there. And one just there. Just like so. Oops. There you go. See? Just by adding that little bit of rock there, it makes all the difference. So we're just going to add a few more bits of rocks. Now, what we do to smooth these over, I put my finger in some water and I'm just going over the rocks and I'm smoothing the rocks with water on my finger. This will make a nice smooth finish to the rocks. Now with air drying clay, it takes between 12 to 48 hours depending how thick the rock is of what you're making. This bit in the middle there, that's going to take at least a day to actually dry. So I'll just smooth this over. Very, very simple, but it looks awesome once it's finished. So we'll let this dry, and what I'll do when I come back, I'll add some sand as well. So when we come back, I'll have it sanded, and what I'll do is I'll get all the miniatures in place and give it its primer coat. So then we can work and go back and go straight into the painting of the miniatures. The primer is on. What we've got here, I've added a couple of little palm trees. Now these little palm trees are fantastic. These are from eBay from China. You can get like a pack of 20 little palm trees, and they're like £2 or £3. It's like ultra cheap. You got to wait a little bit longer because they're coming from China, but they're fantastic for our little models, and they fit in really well. So I've stuck them into the clay and let them dry, and as you can see, I've added some sand to the base. So this is all been primed with Dragon Black by MSP Paints. We got the star there. I've given that the primer coats with Dragon White from MSP Paints as well. Now I've also done all the figures. They've all been primed in black, and we have the baby Jesus, which I've done black and the white there. Now what we're going to do, because it's supposed to be a nighttime scene, I've done it all in black, and it needs to be very dark. You still want to be able to see the figures, but I want it to be very dark and shadowy, and I want the light of this miniature really to be shown on baby Jesus in the middle. So we'll have this bright yellow, and we'll try and make it so the light is shining down on the baby Jesus. Now to finish today's episode, what we're going to do is just finish off the base. Now I've got some buckskin pale, which I'm going to use for the sand, and some dark grey for the rocks. So what I'm going to go straight into that now and start dry brushing all over these areas. Now the buckskin pale is a nice kind of sandy colour, and we're just going over the black. We don't want it too heavy because, again, we want to keep it a dark diorama because it is supposed to be nighttime. So we're looking for like a twilight feel to the actual base. Just a kind of hint of light going around on the actual floor. We still want the correct colours of the sand, but it's still going to be very, very dark. So it's really just a very, very light dry brush over all the sandy areas. Just like so. And again, what we can do now is we go straight into the grey. See, it's just a very, very light effect on top of the sand. Even it kind of patchy little shadows around the rocks. You want to leave kind of like a little circle around the rocks of darkness, because it is night time, so there will be lots of areas which are darker than the rest. Okay, so what we got here is I got some very dark grey. So we're going straight to the dark grey. And this will be for all the rock areas. And again, it's just a slight hint of grey on the tops of the rocks. This is just to add a little bit of definition. And it'll just bring out a little bit of the... There we are. That's what I'm after. There's a tiny bit of grey on the rocks. Again, we're keeping the base nice and dark. And this is keeping our nighttime scene. There we are. I'm going to add a little bit of white to the grey now, just for the highest areas. Just a tiny bit of white I'm adding to this grey, and this is just for the actual... There we are, just the tiniest tops. A little bit more white. There we are. It's just for the actual extremities of the rocks there. There we go. Just to add a little bit extra. The moonlight and the stars is just kind of giving off a little bit of light off the top of these rocks there. Okay, now we're going into, we got my favourite brown, so we're going into the driftwood brown. Now the driftwood brown will be for the palm trees, and it will be for the wood around the major. Now, of course, we're not going to see much of this because it is very, very dark, but it's just enough to bring out a little bit of the wood. And what we're going to do is just on the one side, only on the one side of the palm trees, we're just going to go down. So the star is in the middle. So this star is kind of giving off a light on each side and around. So it's kind of shining down. It's lighting up the area. It's not, but the emphasis wants to be on baby Jesus and the star. So I'm just looking to have a dark shadow on the back of the palm trees and light on the front. So now, like before, I'm adding some white to the brown, and we're just going to give a little bit of hint on the front there, just on the front where the light from that star is shining. There we are. And of course around the tops here, there's a little bit of light going down the top of the wood. I'm just making certain parts of the diorama lighter than others. But of course we're trying to keep it so it's a dark scene. Again, it is supposed to be nighttime. Okay, so all we need to do here is paint the star. Now, on the actual picture, they got a yellow star. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to keep the star white. Because when I see a star, I don't see yellow stars, I see a white star. So I'm going to give the star a couple more coats of dragon white, and that will be that star done. Now all I need to do now is do a tiny bit of this green. I got a dark green to go onto the palm trees. Only a tiny bit of dark green, which I'll dry brush onto those now. And again, all I'm doing with the trees is just adding a little bit. I'm keeping it dark. I'm keeping it black at the back of the palm trees. But what I'm doing is I'm just adding a little bit of very, very dark green over the leaves there. Perfect. That's all I want. Beautiful. Okay, so this is all I want to do to the base, and that's how simple it's going to be. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to leave this here for this episode, and in the next episode we shall get the miniatures painted and get this diorama finished. So until next time.